Hello, and welcome to the Libri Labra book club.
Finally, hooray!
Yay!
The one you've been waiting for. Sorry, go
waiting
ahead.
for the stream to start on this end so I can pause it. Okay. So, today we're going to be talking about Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
We've read most of the graphic novel and also watched the movie.
Oh, okay. Then you're pretty much up to speed.
Yeah. That wasn't intentional. It was like we squeezed in the movie where we could, and then we're not sharing books anymore, by the way. It just doesn't work out for us.
Okay, then.
So welcome, guys. Today we're going to be talking about Watchmen. We'll give our initial thoughts, and then we're going to be jumping into spoiler territory and talking about it at length.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't read it, go away, come back, watch the movie, read the graphic novel, and come back, and then you can listen to us talk about it.
Either one of those works because they work well together.
They're pretty similar.
They're very similar, yes.
So this month it was Tom's choice. He made the selection. So Tom, tell us a little bit about why you selected Watchmen.
Number one, I wanted an excuse to read it again. Number two, to have somebody to discuss it with, because there is a lot going on, I think, in the novel. And as you have pointed out, which I think anybody who starts reading it finds out, it's a really dense book. I mean, I could just, no.
No. I was reading it earlier.
We all found out the hard way.
My son was like, "You're still reading that? It's a graphic novel." I was like, "No, you don't
know."
No,
emphasis on novel.
There's periods in between those words there. It's a graphic novel. Okay,
yeah.
It's not together. It's the same thing, all inclusive.
Yes.
I was like, "Here, read these 2 pages. I'm going to time you." And it took him 2 minutes and 34 seconds to read those 2 pages.
I think it takes it about 45 minutes an issue, I think, or something like that. So take it all together, that's like, good 10 hours or so. You would not act for we are. It is supposedly one of the classics of graphic noveldom, I guess. It's supposed to be very innovative, and the story it tells is rather different from your typical superhero yarn.
Yes. So, definitely. As I was reading it, I was like, okay, well, this takes place in the past, but it takes place even further in the past than when it was created. So I had to look up those 2 things to make sure I understood what was happening.
Sure.
So I was like, when was this created? So it was made in the 1980s. I think.
Correct.
86, right?
Yes.
And it talked about things from the 70s back to the 40s.
One thing that I thought was interesting was that, as you're living life and politics do what politics does.
Right.
I think you always feel like, well, this is different, this is new.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of read something like that and you see it's not much has changed. It's not. We're still fighting all the same issues and all the same problems and all this. It's like, it's both enlightening and depressing at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So what were your initial thoughts?
I mean, I generally like comic book type things, so the comic book style is great, but it took me a while to catch up to who was who in the characters, and I'm still confused about certain ones, but there's a lot going on. So, and then when they go back and tell stories of the past without telling you, they're jumping back right there. I mean, it's all over the place. So,
well,
I think I have a good grasp on things now, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to unravel some of that.
Yeah, you can enlighten us, Tom, because this is your second time through.
Oh yeah, well, I finished it 3 weeks ago, so who knows when I'm going to remember.
Right.
But I was going to say, and we will probably spoil the movie only because the movie is so close to the book.
It's
so.
What she pointed out is while we were watching the movie, she's like, it's like they used it as the actual book as a storyboard for the movie, and I'm like, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to have been done.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to change things to their own liking, and
right.
There were a couple of shots in the movie which were very comic book feeling artistic shots. And I remember after I watched the movie, I looked to see if I found those same like screenshots in the comic book. And there was one in
go ahead. The whole opening sequence matches the opening sequence in the book. So I mean, anyway, go ahead.
But there was a shot in particular that I thought was very creative, and it just looked very comic book to me. Mm-hmm. And it was two of the characters were having sex on a couch, but they were shooting it through glasses. So there was like glasses on the table next to them, and the outside where the lenses were not was all blurry, and then they were shooting the scene like through the clarity of the glasses. Mm. And I was like, that would make an excellent panel in the comic book, but I didn't see that exact shot.
It was close.
Yeah.
The panels were pretty close to that. It's just that at one point it breaks over to his glasses on the table. So whoever actually read that and directed it like that, that's kind of impressive.
I'm going to guess that's Dan Dreiberg and Laurie Jivishek, yes.
Jupiter, correct.
Yeah, Jupiter. So... But in the book, though, looking at the opening credits in the movie, and I guess we'll reference them almost interchangeably because they are so close. But in the movie, they cover a lot of the Minutemen history in the opening credits. Mm-hmm. And if you know, it's like I wonder what people would think who hadn't read the book. If they just saw that, would they know what was going on?
Now that you bring up the Minutemen, I think what I was saying about my initial thought is the number of characters and the because you still have to know who the Minutemen were and how they were related to the next generation of people too. Because you got the Hooded Justice. I just figured out today that Night Owl 1 and Night Owl 2 were two different freaking people.
Yes, Hollis Mason and Dan Dreiberg.
Right. And I had to explain that to her too. And I was like,
I saw that.
Who is Hollis Mason?
It was, I felt like I was asking who was Hollis Mason forever. But in his memoir, he states, he was like, I was never really fond of the Night Owl name anyway. And so somebody asked me if they could have it, and I gave it to them, kind of thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was really early on.
Okay.
Yeah, he said it was a stupid name anyway. So, yes.
And I mistakenly thought that Hollis was that Veidt guy. Alan Veidt? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Adrian.
Adrian, that's it. Yeah, Adrian Veidt. Ozymandias.
Okay.
Ozymandias.
The
poem. Anyway.
It was a question I had, and then just...
Well... It's certainly of its time because here in the book we have a crisis with the two nuclear powers, mm-hmm. Russia and the United States, and the risk of going to war. That's what the papers and such are filled with. And that's what everybody's on everybody's mind. But the central, I guess, theme of the book is how do we rescue, save the world? But what lengths are we willing to go to save it?
Right. I mean, but essentially, we're just trying to save ourselves from ourselves.
Right.
Too often, apparently.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in the movie, they connected what Ozymandias eventually did, which was take out a lot of the cities that were, the targets for the nuclear strikes anyway. But in the movie, he connects it to Dr. Manhattan's powers. Right. But in the book, they have these artists that create this thing, which, it's from another dimension, and it dies when it reaches our, and then, it explodes and such. So, but I mean, do you agree with what Ozymandias did?
No.
No.
I mean, it seems like the idea of kind of just destroying certain people to restore some kind of
Right.
common good or utopia or whatever.
Right.
Is kind of what just happened in the latest Marvel movies. It feels like. So I don't know. There were so many things in the story that I felt were like super harsh. And
like what? Like, give an example. If you remember any.
Harold said like Thanos. Yes. That's what he was pointing at. Yes.
I was talking about Thanos.
Except that's Marvel. Yeah, not
I
DC. Anyway.
I was trying not to be that spoilerish, but whatever.
Yeah.
So even the scene where Spectre gets assaulted by the comedian, like
Spectre, yeah.
Yeah, like I wasn't expecting that to happen. I thought they were gonna like kind of lean towards it, but it just felt like so much. It was so emotional. It felt really heavy-handed. But I think we kind of forget what we experienced a long time ago because media was just so different. The things that we used to watch as teenagers and
well, even with the article that it was in there somewhere after you get introduced to the fact that they did have some interaction. There's an interview with her and I don't know if it's a host or some sort of news company, but and what she says in response to them asking her about that is just revolting, because it was just like, maybe I kind of brought it onto myself. And I'm like, because back then that's kind of what they fed. That's what they wanted them to.
It's not like that mentality doesn't still exist,
right?
But just recently, an author that I follow on Twitter made a newsletter based on a horror author that I used to read as a teenager.
Right.
And in the newsletter, he was recapping he was summarizing all of the books, and I was like, dear God, I read all of these as a teenager. And like one of them was like, oh, there's a bunch of teenagers and they're selling coke to people, and then they start murdering everybody but making it look like they've been committing suicide, and it's just like, what was I reading? So it kind of felt a lot like that. Like I was shouting at the TV as we were watching it because I was just like, oh my God. I'm sure at one time the things that were happening were probably like expected in movies. And so now when we watch movies, they try to dodge that. They don't do the expected thing. They wait a little longer. Like they lead up to something, they make us think it's going to happen, but then they don't do it right then to kind of steer us off. So now that technique has become expected. And so the fact that I was like, is this going to happen? Oh my God. Is this going to happen? Oh my God. Like this, like that's just what I felt like watching it the whole time.
Yeah, sure.
So it was just, it felt harsh. It felt dark. It felt, I mean, I guess maybe realistic. That was kind of the point, is to make them human. None of them were actual, like, these all-American heroes that did no wrong. They all had their own issues.
A lot of them were seriously flawed. Like Rorschach. You know, or the comedian, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, all of them have their
I think the comedian messed me up by far throughout the whole movie. Everything he did was like, dude, what?
One of the things that I really liked about the opening sequence for the movie is like it told so much story in those 2 or 3 minutes that really you'd really have to be paying attention to understand what was where. Like it showed Walter as a kid. It showed Spectre seeing her not her parents, but her mom arguing with some other dude about his bullshit.
Her husband.
What?
Yeah, that was her husband.
That was her husband.
Yeah,
that's her agent.
Oh, right. Which
they have in the book, but they don't have in the movie. Go ahead.
That crap.
They have that. No, they have that one scene where they're arguing, but they don't do any setup really.
Right.
For it. So.
I thought it
was a Shexnade or something like that was his name. I can't remember.
Yeah, Shexnade. Yeah,
something like that.
What kind of name is what?
So.
He looks like a Shexnade.
Yeah, he was very upset.
Yes.
But they never, or at least I must have not gotten that part. But
yes,
the comedian tried to assault her
Yes.
And as far as I understood, he was not successful.
Right.
But she ended up sleeping with him anyway?
After the fact.
Yes.
Yep.
After the fact. Yes.
Yep. She went back to him.
That's...
No. That will never, nope. No woman.
I have trouble processing that.
There's some real problems there if the girl goes back to a guy who tried to do that.
Well, and again, we are sensitive to it now, number one, in the era of the Me Too movement and such. Mm-hmm. But also, too, this is what happens when guys write comic books about women, that have women characters, Right. So, who knows? Yeah, I thought that was like, whoa, that's a stretch.
Yeah, right?
I wonder, yeah, it was a huge reveal, but it was just almost like, why? So.
Did you notice who the comedian was?
What?
In the movie?
Actor?
No.
It was Negan.
Oh, from Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I bailed on The Walking Dead before he became a thing. That's why.
And Mullock was Max Headroom.
Yes.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was like, I heard him talking, and I was like, is that Max Headroom?
Yep.
So I have to look that up. Oh, hey, I didn't know anybody was in here.
That's why I said, because Harold said like Thanos.
Like Thanos. All right. What's up, Harold? What's up, Sugar Bear?
So we have the chat going now, too. Good. What was I going to say? Yeah, well, the other thing I'm surprised you didn't mention when you were talking about harsh things is how Rorschach became Rorschach.
Oh, yeah. Did you see that part in the comic? Because I didn't put all of it in the movie.
No.
There's a few. I noticed probably about 3 different scenes that weren't in the movie. The snow globe. When she was hearing her parents fight, she wandered off into another room and pulled a snow globe off the guy's desk. And when he realized she was in his office, he came in there yelling, and she dropped it, broke it. So that was added to the abuse that was given by that guy in the past.
Right.
And then Rorschach's therapy sessions or his short stint in prison wasn't all about Big League. What is that guy's name? Mr. Big Time?
Big Figure.
Big Figure, that's it.
Yes. They got the essentials of that one right, though, I have to say. That one. But no,
yeah.
The scene,
Go ahead.
The scene I was talking about was when he actually, because his psychiatrist is saying, I want, how did you become Rorschach? And he said, oh, you think this, and this. No, this is how I became Rorschach. And it goes back to when he was tracking that guy who had killed that girl and fed her to his dogs.
Yeah.
So,
in the movie, they showed him splitting the guy's face, but it was splitting the dog.
No, they showed the split dog too. They showed him like the imagery in his head.
Oh right.
Yeah.
When he looked at the blotch.
Right. But in the book, he just left into the flames, and here's the hacksaw. You know what to do with it. So.
He at the end, I was like pretty upset, and John was like, was Rorschach even that great of a character? I was like, no, that's not even the point. Like, it was still really upsetting. I didn't expect that to happen.
I enjoyed Rorschach as a character.
Yes.
Because it was obvious he was like the anti-hero, the Dexter type figure. He was taking out the bad guys, but he was doing it in a bad way.
Right.
So, but yeah, I didn't I was like, there has to be another way, but nope.
But he was the only one that was like, there's something going on here. There's something fishy here. Everybody was like, just leave the
Rorschach, you're psycho, man. Don't worry about it.
Yes, but he was all about the truth, and that's what makes him. That's kind of what redeems him, and that's
right.
Does he get the last laugh? Who knows? I mean,
somebody has to know. That's the reason why he actually had to die, is because he felt that somebody has to. That
the truth
you
has
have
to
to pay for this crap.
Yeah.
You just killed this many people, but somebody has to know.
Right.
And Manhattan was like, I can't let you do that. Mm-hmm. But he knew. Mm-hmm. He knew. Well, the one thing that I could say that the movie got incredibly right. Mm-hmm. Which may be petty for me to point out, but when he died, he left a Rorschach mark in the snow.
I noticed that.
That it wasn't just
out. Like there you go.
Yeah. In the book, he's just a smear on the ground. You don't even actually see. In the movie, they're all like, "Let's have him leave behind a mark."
Yeah.
Yes. What do you see? Blood in the snow.
Yeah. But no, but with regard, one of the things that really struck me about the movie is in the film they have the blots move on his mask.
Yeah. Yep.
Which they kind of allude to in the book, but obviously you can't see that because it's a static thing. But
they did explain it in the book, at least how he did that.
How he did that, yes.
Versus them, know, because in the movie, I would imagine like if I was the director, I would have been like, okay, in this scene he has this face, and this scene he has this face, like instead of it actually flowing and changing. But that was really cool. Mm-hmm. Because in the book they actually described that he made somebody made a specific dress. Wait, he became a seamstress, didn't he?
He was, he had to work in the garment industry. That was
it was like his first jobs, and then he made a specific dress for this girl who, and then she didn't like it, and she flipped out, and they had to make another dress or something. And he was like, well, then he used the material for his mask.
Correct. Yes.
And it was dual layered, like crystalline with some sort of flowing liquid in between it to make it constantly move. And he thought it was the most beautiful thing, and she did not.
Right. I think doesn't he end up like she gets killed and he ends up investigating for murder.
Was that the same girl then?
Yeah, I think it was the same girl. Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it took me the second reading to figure out that the end is nigh, or the world is the sign holder was actually him, Rorschach.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap.
I didn't see that either. That's great.
So
it's deep and dark.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Desiree like, when was this made? It got like so many awards. Why is it so good? So I guess she didn't actually see that it was that good.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
excuse me.
She didn't like the outcome. So
no, I don't think it was about the outcome or even the story. It just felt like so many stories have kind of used that foundation of, destroying some of the population to restore.
Well, I mean, when did the Marvel universe do it before? Like before
I don't know,
it was
but that's
redone
why
in
I
the
had
movies.
to look
so I'm saying
when
like
it was
probably
created.
came from the same spot.
I was like, are they all based on this? I don't know. So who is your favorite character?
Mm-hmm.
My favorite would probably be Rorschach.
Rorschach, yeah.
But I could probably relate more to Night Owl.
Which one?
The second one?
Yeah. No, I didn't know. I don't know Hollis Mason. I don't know him.
Well, I understand. I understand. In the director's cut of the film, they include Hollis Mason more, and they include his death scene.
Oh.
In it.
Was that when the kids broke into the gang broke into his house and bashed him with
his own trophy? Yeah.
Yep.
That was sad. But
we're done here. But what did you just do? No, I said we're done here.
Mm-hmm.
That's just when the rest of your guys around you are going like, "What did you do?" I think you did something wrong.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of Dr. Manhattan, John?
I think I kind of wanted a little bit more out of that story. Although I did have to, I think I walked the dog or something in the movie during that part.
Yeah, right when he was.
When they explained what happened to him. Did they ever explain what happened to him in the
I
movie?
mean,
Yes.
it was very, very similar to what happened in the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Because, but the fact they didn't do it in the movie, but they did it in the book where he was like, when he was talking to Lori and he took her to Mars and he was like, when you tell me that you were with Dan, and then she goes into this thing and then she lets it slip like he knew already, and then he reacts, and then she's like, you just told me, like the whole thing that you just told me that I was gonna tell you, and he's like, you did just tell me, but in a different way. But it was just the probably the smartest and most confusing piece of dialogue in that whole thing.
Right.
So Sugar Bear says, too much blue penis, was not a fan.
That's the first thing that buddy of mine said to me.
I feel like I have to comment on this because in the book, for a good portion of it, when you would have seen his penis, it's obscured by something. It's either like covered up in some artistic way. There's a leaf there. There's a vase, anything.
No, it's like a black V where his underwear would normally
No,
be.
not as much. I went back and looked.
Oh, did you?
I did, because listen, I'm trying to tell a story.
Panel by panel.
Trying to tell a story here.
It's a serious research, damn it.
and I went back and I looked because when the movie started, I had this assumption that he had kind of been Ken-dolled, where it was just kind of like,
oh yeah, he wasn't anatomical,
a mound or whatever, and that was what I had in my head for until like half the movie when I actually saw it, and I was like, oh my god. And then I was like, why did I think he was like a Ken doll? So then I started going back in the book to look at it, and then I was like, they don't even show it here, until finally there was one panel where you could see. I sent him the picture.
She took a picture of it. There it is. My wife is sending me dick pics.
Yeah. Have you seen this dick?
Well, the thing is, what I noticed in the book itself is that when he's in public, there's something blocking it. When he's not in public, it doesn't matter.
Well, at one point he had a black suit and he just decided he wasn't going to wear it.
And that slowly went away.
Yes.
So we have David in the room that said, I saw the movie in IMAX and I'll never forget that.
Oh, an IMAX blue penis. Jeez, I can't imagine.
If this is a podcast, that would be the title. IMAX blue penis.
But yeah, I was like, he's like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, we're doing a book thing for the Watchmen. And he goes, did you watch the movie yet? I was like, no, not yet. We're gonna watch it though. He goes, just be prepared for a lot of blue penis. I was like, thanks.
But I mean, remember that I think the film came out in 2009. This came out in 1986 or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's a difference there, and even now, what was it? Was it Batman, the new Black label that this is supposedly like the adult DC label that they had in Batman? They showed bat penis, and people flipped the freak out.
Of course they did.
Yeah,
people aren't used to seeing penis.
Enai.
Unless it's like Westworld, or do they show any in Game of Thrones? I think they do at least a couple times.
I've seen a little too much of Theon.
Poor Theon. Let's not talk about Theon.
That's for another podcast. So, but they make the point in the movie and the book too, that as powerful as Dr. Manhattan is, he can't stop all the missiles.
Right.
So,
So they did in a different way.
Yeah.
They just less people died, a lot less. Like we're talking about the annihilation of the entire planet versus a few million.
Right.
So that's the needs of the many are better than the needs of the few. Kind of here. So it's
or the one, yes.
And it's sad because that's what Rorschach was like. No, everybody needs to know what happened here. And
right. And they're both right.
You have to pay for the
thing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's just what side of the coin that you actually stand on.
Those are tough decisions.
There's still an
I don't
edge.
want to be in charge of making those decisions.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what makes Watchmen such a good book. I mean, it's morally ambiguous to the point where Ozymandias is kind of right, but then, yes, so is Rorschach. People should know. So it depends on. But I think what the comic did more effectively was because they had in the comic book. You remember that one newspaper vendor and the kid who was reading the comic.
Yeah.
And all the characters around there, and then after the apocalypse happened, they show how that was like all totally clean and was different, and they were all gone. I thought that was really, really effective in the book.
That side story.
Yeah, in the movie, they again. I don't know if you would know what you were looking at, but they showed like the news vendor and the kid hugging before as the blast envelops them. So, but I thought that was super well done in the book. It's like, yeah, it's okay to break some eggs, but these are the eggs we broke.
Right.
Sort of
right.
thing. So,
I don't know. I guess I expected Dr. Manhattan to care more. But he was definitely a strange character. I'm not sure I understood him either.
Well, I think in his case, he has, I guess, evolved so far. He now apparently experiences time all at the same time.
Right. And so he sees things coming and knows that he can't change them. So he just kind of, like, what can you do? You're kind of powerless to stop it or whatever.
Right.
But specifically in the book, because I don't think this was in the movie. Oh yeah, it was. But who was it that he was dating in the beginning? Janie,
yeah. Janie, yeah.
So the fact that he cheated on her with Lori surprised me. And I know they mentioned that Janie was aging, but was that the actual reason? Because he doesn't say, yeah, I didn't like looking at her anymore. He just says, it's true, she was aging. I mean, that just seems like a normal progression of things.
Yes, but he doesn't. That's the thing, number one. I think, were they having problems at the time, Janie and him? I can't remember.
It didn't seem like it. Just that she was getting older. And then the next thing you know, he's like on the roof kissing the other girl. So I felt like I wanted to know more of what was happening there. But I did like the realization that he came to. I don't know if it was exactly the same in the book, but he was on Mars. He kind of didn't care. He was like, whatever, shit's gonna happen. And he just didn't care until he realized that the comedian was
her dad.
And then it was like a light bulb went off, and he was like, amidst all of that chaos, came you, and there's only one of you.
Of all the factors and billions of things that could
have.
They
didn't do that in the book, did they?
Yeah, they did.
They did?
Yeah. Because he was asking for a miracle.
Right. And so that was
talking about the miracle of birth. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So.
And so that was nice. I think that's just a nice reminder when you feel like life sucks and every day is the same, but still, like, things have to come together in a perfect way in this imperfect world to
put you where you are right here, right now, or when you were born.
Very true.
Miracle anybody here actually exists.
So it was just nice that this dude that's kind of like, what? I'm just doing what I gotta do. And then, I don't know, I could feel the awe in that moment, I guess.
But see, I think it was, maybe he was the one that tried to explain it better than even the scene showing where she was like, Mom, why didn't you ever tell me that he was my dad? But he was like, amongst the hate, there was still love in order to make you. Like, after what he did to her, he still went back, and she was a product of that. So that's insane. I guess that's probably how they tried to explain that. Like, because we were earlier, we were like, why would someone go back to someone after they did try to do something like that? But in order to make Lori.
Right.
That's the answer.
Yeah, who can say? That's the thing. But yeah, it was interesting how they have the comedian essentially trip up and say, "What? I can't even talk to
Right,
my
yeah.
own friend's daughter or something like that." Yeah, it's like, oh yeah. And again, it was a deep reveal, but I'm not sure what the point of it was. I mean, other than to surprise the reader.
Well,
Harold says that's deep.
Yeah.
I know in the movie when that happened, when because I think he held her face or something, and that's when her mom came over and was like, "Don't you touch her," blah blah blah. My first instinct was like, "Oh, he's trying to now hit on this young woman."
But I saw through that. I knew better already.
Yeah, but it wasn't until like they got into the car and then she was like, "Stay away from him," or when he said, "What? I can't talk to."
Yeah,
and I was like, that's different.
Yes.
So,
So what about? And I subsequently found out that DC made an animated like half-hour show of what is it called? The Black Freighter, the other subtale in the books. What did you think of that, and how do you think it mirrored what was going on?
You said DC just made a show of that?
They made a half-hour show called The Black Freighter, which just centers on that particular story.
I don't know if I can.
I don't know nothing about it.
Because it's not in the movie; it's in the book.
It's in the book.
Yeah, it's the comic that the kid is reading by the newsstand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
the guy that strapped all the cadavers
dead
to
bodies
his raft
and made a raft.
Yeah, and then swallowed by a whale almost.
Yeah, and almost got killed by sharks and whatnot. But he's the one that says, "Oh, I forget what the town is, but the Black Freighter is supposedly going to his town,
Davidsburg."
Davidstown or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And he says, "Oh, I got to go there and rescue them." And in the process, he becomes what he abhors for best of intentions, but for the wrong, the wrong outcome.
Right, for the wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of actually the interwoven message throughout the whole thing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it took me the second reading to realize, how connected what was going on in the novel as a whole, and then to show how they mirrored each other. So, and that's the thing, all the characters I think are nobody's truly good and nobody's truly evil. It's just varying
Shades
degrees of the same. Yeah. So
we're all human.
Except Dr. Manhattan.
Yes, well,
he is no longer human.
Right. He is something else. He's also one of the prime movers in DC's new Rebirth. They have a second Doomsday Clock countdown going on now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And because if you remember in the book, he says, it was essentially, what do you think he'll do now? It's like, maybe he'll go create life.
Right.
And they're taking that up and running with it.
Interesting. Okay.
So.
Are they doing that like like a CW show or like?
Oh no, this is in the comics because before they had their old timeline, which was like all called the classic timeline, and then DC said, "Oh, we want to change things up. We're going to make the new 52." And okay, but a lot of people didn't like the changes they made in the new 52. So basically, Rebirth is a way to get the characters back from the old timeline. Yeah, I know. And restore like the character, all the characters people know and love, essentially.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Dr. Manhattan has a part to play in that, or is playing a part in that. So, because when they came out, they were in two different universes. I think now they're supposed to be in the same one. So, yeah.
So now with all the people around him dying from cancer,
Mm-hmm.
Was that like super accurate? Was that like just something?
It was a spin story. The fact that one person had cancer and the fact that another person actually had cancer, they actually tried to spin that to where it was all people around him. But Lori has been around him longer, and she doesn't she doesn't show any symptoms.
Right.
So
that's because Ozymandias and his companies gave the other people cancer. They set it up that way.
Wow. Wow, Adrian's a douche.
Yeah.
I just saw that a lot of people were smoking, and I was
yes, I know. Again, this is the 80s, so.
You ever watch maybe that's where you're getting the cancer.
Yeah. It's not Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, no, it's Mr. Marlboro. No, Marlboro Man.
Marlboro Man.
That's great.
But yeah, but true. No, I think at some point they say that it was in they happened to work for one of the Pyramid, I think it was, which is one of Adrian's companies, and they saw to it that they got cancer. So it's
dirty.
Yeah,
dirty.
Sugar Bear said, "Conspiracy alert! Dun dun dun."
Yep. Well, and then to Ozymandias' credit, he did it, and like he said, the only thing he failed is in saving the world. Failing to save the world, I guess. So.
Huh.
I know there was a part where they were like, "There's nothing to write about. Nothing's happening." I was like, I'm sure that would suck for like companies, but I feel like that'd be a nice problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
To write about.
Here's what I didn't completely understand. What was it that Adrian had on the comedian, or the comedian was flipping out over in order, like beforehand, which made Adrian throw him out the window?
He had seen the island where they were making that gigantic alien. Remember the artists that were disappearing? They were all going to that island, and he said that they would make the giant alien that appears at the end of the novel and, basically destroys New York and whatnot.
I guess we missed that part. Let me see that.
I can see that.
I don't remember the alien.
The alien's like right at the end of the book.
Go back a little. Like, it comes out at the end after everything is said and done?
Yeah, well, where they have the apocalypse connected to Dr. Manhattan's powers in the movie?
Yeah.
The alien that they create functions the same way in the book.
So Dr. Manhattan's abilities or his power signature is what they used in place of the alien, right?
Right.
Okay, the alien was the one that did all the damage and started flipping.
Right.
Okay.
And
that's what the comedian was like.
He saw the creating.
How can we do something like this?
Right.
And because he was cracking, that was when Adrian was like, "Well, now you have to go."
Well, yeah, because now you can't fulfill your role.
Right.
But I still think it's interesting that after all the friggin' shitty things that he did, he was like, "No, but this is so far beyond anything I've done."
This shit isn't funny anymore.
Shit, I've killed kids.
Yes. Well, it's like John said, when you got the people around you saying, "Dude, that's screwed up," and this is the comedian saying, "Dude, this is screwed up." Yeah. So. No, but I guess Adrian had Moloch's apartment bugged, and that's how he knew that the comedian came to him, and that's how he knew that Adrian knew that the comedian knew about what was going on. That's why he threw him out the window.
So, I mean, they were just being picked off one by one, kind of.
Yeah, and that's what Rorschach was saying. It's like, dude, somebody's coming after us, and they're picking off us one by one. And sure enough.
2 guys in a matter of 2 weeks. Who's next? I just wanted to warn you.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she came out and she started talking to John, he goes, "Oh, you came to warn me about Rorschach's warning," or some shit like that. And then he reacted like it was a surprise. It's just that whole thing was crazy to me.
Right. But then again, like you said, it's not until much later that I realized, oh my God, he's experiencing time all at once. So that's the only explanation I could think of. It.
Well, yeah, he's still experiencing it, even though he sees what's going on. It's still
he still has to go through it.
Yeah,
it's still part of his now, even though it's later.
It's still crazy.
Yeah, but that's still like, because how does that not like change your experience? How does that not impact the way things play out?
Maybe that's actually the whole paradox behind him, is that
what he says ends up making the things happen.
Yes.
Yeah, who knows? Well, in a sense, he's doing what Ozymandias does with his TVs. He's basically watching all the channels, and this is what. So I can see him becoming, this passionate, being a pure reason almost.
Well, yeah, right.
Well,
but there's no mystery anymore. Life is not a mystery. Right. It's already like. Well,
apparently there is, because Laurie, pointed one out to him, or made him think of one. Is the better word for it. So, no, I quite enjoyed the book, and like I said, it benefits from rereading.
I can see that.
So
I definitely can see that it's one of those that you'll piece other things together. There's so many threads. It's weird.
They also kind of take a nod to the history of comic books, in the sense that back in the war days, we have all these superheroes, and then they lose popularity in the 50s and 60s. And I think that around the 50s and 60s, I think the only characters who had their own books still were the Trinity from DC. They were Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. And now we're in the I guess we're in a post-hero age here in this timeline. So
yes, that was that whole dispute in the Keene Act. So,
which is essentially Marvel's Superhero Registration Act.
Yep, exactly.
So, but Civil War is also a really good thing to read as well. All the books associated with that. But
of course,
that's another. No, it's not just a 2-hour movie. There's a whole thing that goes on with it. Yeah,
there's more than 30 hours worth of reading there.
Yeah, seriously. So, but what else did you like about, or didn't like about the book? I guess.
One thing I did think about before we go that far. That when we're talking about Dr. Manhattan, he did say one line that kind of pieced it together pretty well. Is that we are all puppets. I'm just a puppet that can see the strings.
Right.
Which just shows like, what? But okay, so anything else you liked or disliked?
Which is a variation on, what is it? I'm not locked in here with you. Yeah. You're locked in here with me.
Yeah. And it was weird is that's actually come up a few times recently to me. Like I've read that in different areas before I got to this.
About the puppet strings?
No. Oh. You can't look at it as you're locked in. I'm locked in here with you. You're in here with me. Like I'm the problem.
Right.
You guys better think about that.
Right. Is there any thoughts?
What else I liked or disliked? I mean, of course, like looking back and seeing how women are written in comic books. Just interesting to notice. But I'm glad that things are kind of changing and becoming different. We're going to see Captain Marvel at some point. I heard they did a really good job of not sexualizing her. So that's
again different time.
Yeah. And I get it.
Yeah.
I understand it's a totally different time. I'm just glad we're changing.
I'm glad
things.
too. Yeah.
We're learning from it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but it's like it's taken that long, and we're still fighting really hard to be like, no, we're not objects. But I think I like stories kind of based on humanity, and I like that there really is no good and evil. So I think the story did a really good job of capturing that.
Yes, these are our heroes, quote unquote.
And it even says that like one of them was a Nazi. But
no, they tried to describe this. Somebody else gave Rorschach the description of a lunatic Nazi.
No, it was somebody else they were saying that was a Nazi.
Oh.
I have to look.
And they said that like the reason he got away with it was because of how much good he did in his community and that people like they all had their flaws, whether it was like sexual flaws or alcoholism or whatever the comedian's deal was, but that because they all did such good within their own communities that people were willing to overlook some of their more
the bullshit.
Yeah, because I got the impression that I think it was the comedian in Rorschach. They're on opposite sides of the political spectrum, but yet they still have the common goal of trying to fight criminals, for lack of a better word.
So like Rorschach's behavior seemed to me like more liberal, but wasn't he more conservative in his thinking?
Well, he I'm trying to remember what the New Frontiersman, what kind of paper it was liberal or conservative. I can't for life of me recall.
Because he seemed like in his journal entries, he seemed like he was constantly being like the liberals this and the liberals that. But
what was he really like on one side or the other? I thought he was actually just taking everything at face value. I think that was the entire point by his character. Like it's all about the truth and everything underlying. It wasn't about like one side or the other. It was seeing what the both bullshit that they're dealing with and kind of blaming each other over it.
He deserved better.
Oh, so wait, you wanted the team to survive, and
I mean, I was like, I don't know. I didn't love him. I didn't hate him.
Okay.
But I stand up for the truth and the fact that what?
Oh, he said something.
For the truth and the fact that he was the only one that was like, no, everybody needs to know the truth.
Right.
So I don't know. Again, I wouldn't want to make those decisions.
Right.
So
yeah. Well, all the other characters, went with Ozymandias, and actually, Dr. Manhattan says, "Oh yeah, he's right. If we said this, then shit will just go back to the way it was."
I mean, how do you argue with the smartest man in the world and then a god?
Right.
This is what's best. Okay.
Right. I mean, is it? I mean, is it better than full-on nuclear war? Yeah, probably. But again,
but somebody has to know.
Yeah, somebody should know. So, I mean, are we humans that irredeemable?
I'm upset he killed the cat.
What was this now?
The giant lynx, the genetic freaking,
yeah. Oh yeah, that was Ozymandias' doing. Yeah, that seemed kind of unnecessary.
It was his own damn pet.
Yeah,
and he's like, "I'm sorry, girl." No, you're not, you douche.
Yeah, and the weird thing was, it seemed like he tried to do to Dr. Manhattan what originally created him in the first place. So it was
right.
Like,
well, I like how they explained that in the. Did they even do that in the book? I thought they did something different. No. They did something different with the scientist team. But yeah. He was like, "I'm disappointed in you, Adrian. That was the first thing I learned how to do."
Yeah. reconstruct myself. I could do that, you know. So that was a bit anticlimactic, but oh well.
Yeah, for real.
Mm-hmm. So.
But it's good to know that even in the 80s, there was talk of like World War III, and it hasn't happened yet.
Not good, yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep hoping for that to be the case.
Except that nuclear weapons have proliferated far beyond Russia and the United States. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back there.
And now we're back in the same story.
Hmm?
The river has flowed back through the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
We're just doomed to repeat ourselves.
Yeah, the world always needs saving, but you know,
we don't really actually have superheroes right now.
What did you think of the art itself? Like the way they were drawn? Anything?
It was just a comic book to me, and
it's just.
Well, I guess I don't know. I've been reading more graphic novels.
Mm-hmm.
It seems very detailed. Like the drawings, all the panels are very detailed.
Right.
Well, you're talking about pictures that have to tell a story.
Yes, I know, but I've read other graphic novels and they don't have, like, they're each drawn by different people, so. And some people will pick up a graphic novel and be like, I didn't like it, I didn't like the art.
Oh!
People do that.
You just pooped right on that whole person's stuff, man.
Oh, that's a lot of work. That's a valid response, though.
I mean, I guess.
Like, I read Lock and Key, and I remember reading reviews where people were like, I didn't like the art. So, just figured I'd ask.
I think they were the ones who the 9-panel page was one of their innovations that they brought to comics. I think that's what's the case, but I'm not sure. You see all the nine panel pages in the.
Yeah.
She opened right up to one.
Yeah, opened right up to one.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are, but no, I like I said, I think artistically, the scene that struck me the most was when they showed that corner that the newsstand vendor and the kid were on, and it was like just empty now.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's pretty powerful.
Did you read it as a physical copy or like an electronic copy?
Digital.
Very nice.
But
you could zoom in on that.
on the blue penis, right? Yeah.
That's not what I would have zoomed in on.
Of course not. No, but one of they do carry through some tropes during the book.
What are you doing, guys?
Just to show that I wasn't kidding.
Zooming in, apparently.
I did take a picture of it.
I'll zoom in. No.
When I showed John,
but
it's like, there it is.
Knew I saw penis.
But yeah, they do repeat some tropes during the book. One, which is where the kids did that graffiti painting of the two lovers embracing, and then how when the accident happens, that becomes the real thing, like that Hiroshima, where people, it was so hot that
right,
people
they just kind of
it got burned into the walls.
They were just burned. Yeah, that's insane.
And they also replicated it in when Dan and Laurie, when they're at Ozymandias's place, they get it on, and they embrace first, obviously, and that's they bring that scene to mind again. So
right. Sugar Bear wants to know if that's against YouTube's terms of service. But I just showed that.
You have to put a black triangle now on. Where's that explicit tag when you need it? No.
For mature audiences only.
Only, yes.
And we're over here laughing.
Nobody watches my videos. It's okay.
What's that?
I said nobody watches my videos. It's okay.
Wow. All right then.
This is how it'll happen. All the controversy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I know how to get viewers. Yeah. The penis channel.
No thanks.
No thanks. Yeah, good.
So.
Agreed.
Did he write a lot more stuff, Alan Moore?
Oh God, yeah.
Alan Moore, Dave Gibbons. Is it Gibbons?
Alan Moore. Alan Moore is like one of the comic book writers. Yes.
There is a lot of genius in that book.
Yes. Some people don't like him, his writing style. I do. But one of the things that he did write was one of his noted collections, I guess, is he did a run of Swamp Thing.
Okay.
Which is supposed to be really, really good. And that apparently is where Constantine makes his first appearance. So, which is why, for people who are into the DC Universe subscription service, when they do Swamp Thing, everybody's hoping, oh my God, they should start Constantine on his new series in Swamp, because apparently they might bring Matt Ryan back as Constantine for a second season. So
interesting.
So,
Sugar Bear says he did the Killing Joke.
Yes, he did a lot of things. Yeah, he look him up on like Comixology and see all this shit he did. It's like, oh my God. It's like, check it out. Boom, boom, boom. It's like, let me see here. Let me see if I can get one. But one of the things about reading it digitally, I do like the guided view, where you can, it'll basically pull a panel out so you can actually see the actual full-on artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe that's what I was, because you can zoom in. But yeah, that's awesome. If you just go panel by panel, that's amazing.
Yep. And let's see, what else? Run of Green Lantern, apparently he did. What else? Yeah, Swamp Thing is probably one of his most famous ones, and The Killing Joke. But yeah, like I said, I like his writing, but some people don't. So if you want to say, I want to read more Alan Moore, I would go to Swamp Thing.
Okay.
That's the next thing. So, any final thoughts, or?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Do we have final thoughts? Yeah, final thoughts.
No. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Do you have a rating?
Oh, you want to go with ratings now? Ratings and final thoughts?
Our final thoughts.
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 4-star. I can't say I absolutely enjoyed Amazeballs enjoyed it, but I definitely enjoyed it.
Right. That's right.
It was a good one.
I think I would give it a 5.
Okay. Because
I feel like
that doesn't happen often.
I know.
I don't think that's true. My average rating is like 4 point something. It's pretty high.
Because math. No.
I think I mean I liked that it didn't shy away from. I mean, comics tend to be kind of political anyway, but
everything's political
when
you get
very
older.
Up in your face. And didn't shy away from things that were happening and the flaws of the characters and
right. The other thing I would mention is that they do have a prequel series out, like before Watchmen. I think
you mentioned that before.
Yeah.
Does that have to do with the Minutemen?
Yes, that's the first one of the first volumes that they did. Yeah.
Okay.
So, for further reading, if you so desire, I haven't read them yet, but I want to. I do have the annotated versions, the annotated version, and so far the annotations are okay, but it's nothing like, oh my God. But I only read like the first 3 or 4 pages of it, so. But I gave it a 5. This is my second read through, and I think I may have given it a 4 the first time. But like I said, once I started understanding and putting things together and that's like this page over here, and there's a lot of references throughout the book to other things within the book. That's like, okay. that extra effort deserves a 5-star rating. So,
God damn it! Now that you said extra effort,
the
amount of art and style, planning, everything going into that, I think they deserve 5 stars all the way around.
Well, keep in mind the rating is.
It's mine,
like
fine,
it,
whether or not I liked it or not, right?
Did you like it, love it, or really?
How about I really like the book? I absolutely, amazingly enjoy the amount of work that went in it. How about that? Does that work?
Okay, but whatever. It's your rating. You rate it what you want.
I happened to read Felicia Day's review.
Oh yeah,
on it, and she gave it 5 stars, but she said she had watched the movie first.
Oh, okay.
And then went back and read the graphic novel, and she said that while the movie was good, she did not feel that it captured the nuance and the depth.
Yes,
it didn't. Of course, they didn't have the side story with the Black Freighter. They didn't have the. There's a few scenes in there that had more meaning that would have put everything more together.
Well, if I would like to see the director's cut of the film, I understand there's more. So, but
a little more about Hollis.
Yeah, Hollis and whatnot. So,
all right. They just couldn't. They couldn't get the extra 20 minutes.
I mean, it was still
time
really long. It was almost 3 hours.
It was 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, but remember, this is from the 80s when we did not regularly have 3-hour-long movies.
Yeah. Actually, the movie wasn't from the 80s.
Yeah, the movie was in 2009. You said.
Yeah, but okay, wait. Oh, yeah, we did. Well, no, wait, the Marvel universe was just starting up then.
Yeah.
So I would still make the claim that they weren't all that regular.
I think Lord of the Rings were the first ones to actually make really long movies.
Like movies, yeah. I don't think they were quite as much.
They're not called movies anymore. Those are called epics.
Epics, yeah. Well, we have a lot of epics now.
Yeah, we do.
For good, bad, or indifferent, but yes, yeah. The book came out in '86, and the movie came out in 2009, which is 10 years ago.
Yeah.
As time flies, so.
Yeah, I remember when the movie was coming out.
So, would you reread the book?
Yeah.
Maybe in the future.
Yeah, I'm not saying like right now, but it's like I waited about a year or so before. Oh, what's oh my god, I didn't realize this, that, and the other.
Next time I move the book and be all like, oh, what is this about?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember what this is. Everything in this.
This is the Blue Penis book.
Oh, I don't want to watch this now.
So.
This was actually Jeff's. I guess he read it a long time ago, and at some point he was kind of going through stuff in his room, and he was like, "Here, I'm going to get rid of this."
Mm-hmm. And she was like, "No."
And I grabbed it because I hadn't read it, and I knew the movie had come out. But
the only thing I don't like about this
is,
excuse me, sorry. I do not like reading the first 30 or 50 pages or the last 30 or 50 pages of any soft cover book. Because I always worry that I'm going to mess it up.
Right.
But then when I looked at it, I was like, wow, someone actually, like, there's a seal, there's a score going all the way across both sides. So it was protected against that problem.
Right.
But every time we put it down, it still does the that.
Yes.
And it bugs me. That's the only thing I hate about the physical copy.
Okay.
Sorry. There.
That's right.
There's my feelings.
Yes.
John was like, "Is there no audiobook for this?"
I did not. Did I?
There is a digitally enhanced version which may include an audio. I don't know.
Oh, that would be cool.
If every time you moved on a panel, it would read the panel to you. That'd be kind of cool.
I don't know.
In character.
I wouldn't put it past them because they do that for audiobooks now. What's the difference? You just like, this is your text, assign the I don't know. Yeah.
And about the audiobooks, I definitely noticed recently that when I'm reading older books, it's one dude reading it to you, and he usually does a good job. But now I'm into a whole different series, which is like 6 or 7 years later, and now there's an entirely full cast. So yes. That's definitely the evolution of the audiobook now.
Yes, that's very true. We did That was the case. Well, it's always been the case with Lincoln and the Bardo.
Yeah, that was crazy. There were like 80 people in that
No,
book.
I thought it was like over 100.
166 narrators, I think they had.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's what made it. That's probably what made it good, though. Reading what?
I think I might have to argue with that because I didn't understand half of what was going on at all times. Because this isn't like I knew to distinguish 100 freaking voices and what's going on.
Well, yeah, if you only had the audiobook, that I would agree.
Yeah, that was tough. Like we actually made a trip to Barnes and Noble to go look at some of the things. Because you had
to see the having the text with it made it. So, that was one of the first books that said this is where having both of them really helps. So,
yeah, definitely.
At any rate,
all right.
So, the next book we're reading.
Oh, do we have a physical copy of that?
Yeah, but you're lucky because we can also get the audiobook.
I was just saying, do I need to find it so we can show it?
Oh, we don't have to show it. It's fine.
What's the title of it, though?
The Dreamers by Karen Thompson Walker.
Yes.
And it is, I think it's told in multiple perspectives.
Okay.
And I'm not sure it has like a complete ending. It might be kind of a little bit open-ended, but it's told in different perspectives, and it's about this town that falls victim to some kind of like sleeping disease.
This reminds me of the opening volume of The Sandman, but anyway.
You know, so, every book has its origins.
It seemed like people were pretty torn. Like either you love it or you hate it.
Oh, good.
So it's one of the
that's a good polarizing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
because you want, like, in a discussion, it's like, oh, I liked it too. Crickets.
We liked it.
Yeah.
No. So I mean, it looks like Oprah read it.
We'll see who likes and dislikes this book, all right?
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
So, but yeah, things about dreaming and lucid dreaming and stuff like that. Those are stuff that I like to pick up books about. So I'm sure there'll be more in our selections, but that's what we're reading this month. So, and we have two different. I'll be reading the hard copy. You'll have the audiobook, so we can read it simultaneously.
Usual.
And
I'm gonna finish Iron Gold, and then I'm gonna move on to that, and then it'll be done in like next week.
So because we had to push off Watchmen, I guess we'll do this other one kind of quickly so that we can keep pace and not creep into the other months.
Yeah, that's no month creep.
We're bad. We gotta get it together. So yeah, The Dreamers, Karen Thompson Walker. If you guys are interested in joining us, the book is available on Scribd. And I think it came out not that long ago, so it's probably still like in hardcover.
Okay.
But that is it. So if you guys are interested in being able to provide book selections, you can also be on screen during our chats. If you sign up on patreon.com/Libri Labra, there's a bunch of different rewards that include behind the scenes and images and being on credits in my videos and getting a customized bookmark and a whole bunch of other things. But anybody can join us on the Goodreads group, and there'll be a link to that in the description below. So thanks for joining us this time, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Who watches The Watchmen?
I lost my mouse.